Okay, we are now moving on to the second round of Will It Rust. Our first round, we had harps withstand at least 4 hours or more of a thunderstorm. Any harps that didn't rust or tarnish move on to this next test. I went ahead and decided I don't think the Danmoy actually corroded. I couldn't tell if the discoloration was corrosion. So we've got the Danmoy, we have the plastic coated Schwartz Jaw Harp Magic. We have the Zalagi New Siberia with the zinc or nickel finish, the silver finish, didn't rust at all. We have the Glazerin Wave, no tarnish. This spot is already on there. It's already on there. Now this spot might be the first place to rust if we do rust on this reed, because I think these reeds might still be high carbon steel. Then of course we have the full stainless Sean Jones. We're gonna be burying it in some mud. Let's check it out. See where we're at here. So we're just going to see what happens if it gets covered with wet dirt. We just got done shooting part number 3 and I'm like, well, my dirt pile is wet. I might as well take advantage of this and just use some wet mud. Like if harps are just buried, just put them there. We'll bury them equally deep, actually. Well, I'll try to stay out of the way of the camera. This here, and we'll do this one over here. There we go. Put the Schwartz in there. Also the Danmoy. Make sure not to compact this. I'll tell my son, don't walk around on our mud pile that we're using to build future berms on. So we'll see. Will it rust? Let's check it. We're gonna check in with them, I'd say, here this evening before nighttime. And if nothing's rusted, we'll leave them sit overnight. But I just don't want them to go too far. Sitting down in the dirt is going to be different than just sitting in the wet clover. I think after this test, we're going to be putting them in the compost pit where there's different pHs and also bacterial and fungal features that it may have to contend with. So yeah, let's just see what happens. And we'll see if all harps move on or if any harps move on to our third bracket. We had 3 videos before seeing what harps made it through without tarnish, and then we just selected the ones that didn't rust, and then we move on to this second bracket and see, will it rust if it's buried? Okay, let's check it out. We are about 8.5 hours in. I'm going to be using the hand trowel to dig because I don't want to damage the harps, and I do also recognize that there is a way that harps might get left buried in the mud. I was going to check these every hour and I'm like, wow, it's way more work than I originally thought. Okay, here we go. Here, if you can see it, there we go. We need to be more up. There we go. Here we have Sean Jones, caked in mud, not rusty. That's good. I expected that one. I expect that the Jones will be going the longest. Okay, here we have the Zalagi New Siberia, the coated. I'm not seeing, I don't think I'm seeing rust. That's just dirt that got rubbed into the pores on the harp. There it is. There's the Glazerin Wave. No rust on the reed. I'm betting if it rusts first, it's going to be the reed. Okay. Nothing left in that hole. We're going to rebury them. Put them on there. It's still sprinkling out after we a day and a half into the overcast sprinkles. Let's see here. And then we have a hole over here. There's a Danmoy in there, so I got to be very, very careful. Where are you? Oh, I just hit something. Okay, there's the Danmoy. Not seeing, the mud makes it kind of hard to tell, but I'm not seeing any visible corrosion or rust. The Schwartz Sound of Magic is looking all right. I can't remember the other harp I buried. I think that might be, is that it? I'll have to review the footage to make sure that one's not still buried in here. But yeah, I think it's those two. We're getting into fairly rust resistant with all these. Okay, so we're gonna rebury them. Okay, at 8.5 hours in, there is no rusting on these harps and being buried in the mud. Now, I can't argue that burying a harp in the mud is more corrosive than burying it or just putting it in wet grass. I'm not sure. Is the exposure, and comment below if you know this, is the exposure to oxygen, my hands are muddy, is the exposure to oxygen more important in the rusting process, and will they rust more slowly underground? I don't know. We're gonna find out. Okay, I figured I needed a control in this. I don't know if the mud is conducive to rusting in just a few hours. We're going to throw this in here. This was the Connie Morchung. I said I was pulling him out of the game, but he's going back in the game. No more rusting has appeared on him. He was the first to rust in the clover in round 1. So we're gonna put him in the dirt and see if it rusts him, because if it can rust down there in 12 hours overnight, this would be the harp for it, because it's wrought iron or forged steel or forged iron or whatever they make it out of. Does rust very easy. They're also awesome. But we'll put him in the dirt. There we go. It's sprinkling out. There may be more rain tonight, but we're gonna check it out in the morning. Okay, it has been raining, I think, since the beginning of our experiment. It has been 21 hours. It has been 19 or 10 hours since I put in the Connie Morchung. I'm gonna check that first, and I'm kind of worried that I left it too long in there to cook. Okay. It's definitely rusted, and we're gonna have to do some heavier cleanup on that. I expected that. Okay, our control is complete. It will definitely rust in wet mud that's been getting rained on for 10 hours. The Dan Moy looks good. I think we're gonna wrap this one up. This will be the last of the experiment. Ooh, there it is, right there, on there. Oh my gosh, it seems like it migrated deeper. Okay, the plastic harp. No rust. Let's go on over to our other hole here. Here we go. Don't damage the harp. Where are you? Don't lose the harps. I think I'm digging in the wrong spot. I think it's over here. Oh, there we go. Okay. There's a loggy coated harp. Seems fine. What harp are we here? We're going to be washing these off with water. The stainless steel harp looks like it's okay. How is that Glaser wave wherever it went? Hopefully we don't have to go mining too far. Where are you? Sound like that Blink 182 song. Oh my. I'm getting worried. Where is the wave? Where'd it go? Ooh, we want to find that. Oh. What is this? Chunk of concrete, maybe? Just gonna try to keep a hand clean for the camera. That didn't happen. Okay, so the Glaser wave. Oh wait, there we go. I was like, oh, we're gonna have to exhume this pile. If exhume's even the right word. It doesn't appear to have rusted. We're gonna wash these off well. Let's get a good thumbnail here. Will it rust? Yeah, at least one of these harps is rusted. you so much for your assistance. Would you like to say hello?
Hello.
I love your voice. Okay, we have some mud to clean. Let's see here. We've been enjoying such good outside time. These are such topical video. Oh, don't. The Dan Moy is going to just wash away. Can you see me? Can you see what I'm doing? The Sean Jones, I think the only one that rusted was the morchang, and I let it cook too long. Brushy, brushy. I wish the rooster would crow more and the cars would drive by less. It'd make for a better video. Sounds like we live on a major highway. Let's see how bad the morchang damage is. Maybe it's not that bad. Oh no, it ate into the harp. I can feel it. I should have came outside and checked it at midnight last night at 4 hours. But instead, I let it cook in the soil for 10 hours. Oh, dude, no. The Connie morchang. He'll still be a good player, but it's going to be pitted a little bit. I lost a harp in there, and it took me a couple minutes, maybe a minute or two to find it. I was singing, "Where are you?" Anytime I look for the remote, it's, "Where are you? I'm so sorry." Yeah, the Glazerin Wave. Still in good condition. Surprising, I did not expect the Glazerin Wave to pass this. I was expecting the reed, which at least used to be in high carbon steel, to rust, and it did not. Wyzology, I'm proud to say, doesn't look like any rusting. Yes. Okay, so these two move on. The Jones moves on. There's still some mud in there. The Jones moves on. The plastic coated toy harp moves on. And the Dan Moy is just perfect. So these are the harps that move on. The Connie morchang. Thank you for being the control. I just got it in my head last night. Well, what if there's not enough air for proper rusting overnight in the mud? No, there is plenty of oxygen to provide the iron oxide to form. So yeah.
Shut off the water.
Oh, sure, if you want to take a rain walk. I love you. You're such a wonderful addition to the video. And then we have Miss Mita. And she does not want to be on camera. Yeah, okay, so will it rust? All four of the original contenders are moving on to the next bracket. And our control is getting some heavy restoration, or some medium, super ultra medium restoration, because yeah, I can feel the pitting. We don't want that. Okay, I washed it off with water and I kind of just wiped it lightly with a paper towel. Let's look at the front of it. Front of it's not as bad. It's a little bit smoother on front. It was a little bit rougher finish on back, and I've noticed rougher finishes provide more surface area for rust to form. Let's see how deep it is. Yeah, I can feel surface pitting. 10 hours is way too long. I shouldn't have left it in there for more than 4 hours. So yeah, that's the way it is. And that's how it happened here. See if we can take it off with just a pink pearl. Just see if we can get a look at this. Will it buff off? Looking better. Yeah, I could probably get most of it with the eraser. I'm glad I got it out when I did. Once it starts pitting like this, it starts getting in the deep. Yeah, it'll require a little bit of buffing, but not too bad. I want to see people, or want people to see. I'm not destroying the harps. It's just for testing. I needed a control, though. I needed to be able to say, okay, the mud is conducive to corrosion and rusting like I thought it was, but I'm like, without a control, without a way to verify that, if I just pulled all the harps out, no corrosion, I'm like, oh, well, it is mud as good of an environment for corroding metal as clover? And I would say yes. I didn't leave the harp in the clover for 10 hours, but, or did I? I'm gonna have to review the footage. That's actually most of the rust is already gone. Careful not to put too much pressure on the inside of these embouchures. It will dull them. So you got to be careful. Look how dirty that eraser is. I'll probably take it out and rub it on a piece of concrete just to get all that rust off there. There we go. Look at that. Like these, the shape of the erasers for getting down in the nooks and crevices. Just concentrate on the area. Ooh, there's an area right there that needs concentrated on too. There we go. I usually put it like for rust removal, it's nice to have an anvil or something you can brace it against instead of just the hand. But for the video, we're getting just like a hand lock. I'm just locking it into place. Because the less your material piece moves as you abrade it, the better. I'll be doing some more light rust removal on this, but this is a very, very good start. I was able to get most of it with, ooh, we didn't really rust much on the inside, where there was still, you can see there's still a little bit more evidence of the forge, that blackening that the process of forging does. So let's just rub it off. Let's hit it with the oil. Sometimes oil will, see, we're having a little bit of oranging there. I'm calling oranging whenever you rub a cloth on it and it turns it orange. We're going to rub some coconut oil on there. I'm using a different finger in the coconut oil every single time because I don't want to put the orange rust dust into the coconut oil that might get on other harps. Rust is a thing that even the dust from rust, if it gets on your metal, it can kind of in a way make its own way to rust. It's like rust is an old farmer once told me, rust is an infection. It's like a bacteria. And I don't know if that's true or not. There's a little bit of oranging going on. So a little bit of oil helps take off too. I'll let this sit a couple hours covered in oil, and then I'll come back and I'll clean it up a little bit. Let the oil kind of will eat into the rust a little bit too, or soften the rust, make it so it comes off easier. We're just going to go ahead. We're going to get a sound check on this. Does it still sound and play like the Connie morchang? I'm betting it does. I'm betting it might. And you can see all the crumblies from the eraser. Not too shabby. Don't forget, I'm going to go by with my eraser and rub all this down because we don't want this beautiful reed here rusting any further. Not as much oranging going on. What's the sound check on this? Okay, so I went ahead and I took the rest of the harps. They sat on the porch wet for a couple hours while I did some other things. And I washed them off, and I was surprised. We've had some huge developments. Well, the Sean Jones full stainless, no rust or tarnish. Wait a second, what's that? Nope, that was just a little bit. But I guess I didn't wash it as well as I thought I did. Sean Jones is just fine. The plastic coated or painted harp from Schwartz, just fine. I don't think there's any exposed metal on this at all. The Vietnamese Dan Moy, maybe some discolorations of the brass, but no real corrosion I can see. Now, going to this. I did some washing, and I could see, ooh, what, is it on the frame too? There's discoloration on the frame. We'll see if we come off with oranges. Looks like that discoloration is staying, but look here. Look near that tip right there. There is some discoloration on there. When I flip it over, you'll see what I'm saying too. We'll just lightly buff that. Okay. That took that off. Let's see if we can get this one off here. Definitely getting lighter. So that's going to stay, but look down here. See that oranging? That is corrosion right there. It's a little bit of rusting. I think it's coming off the edges of the reed, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I flip it over. Boom, there we have some definite oranging. Let's see if we can catch it right there. See that right there? And let's see if we can just... There we go. You can see it a little bit more now happening on the reed. There's discoloration. There's also... There we go, right there. You can see it on the edges of the reed. There is some rusting going on. Let's see if we can heal it. Seems to come right off. There we go. And it's on the actual ground edge of the reed. That's where it was coming from. Sloggy uses a nice high carbon steel. Think about high carbon steels. I love the feel and the sound of high carbon steel, but it does corrode. For me, that's a reasonable trade just because I love how well the high carbon steel, it just has a certain feel to it. Now the next one, this is one that I expected would be, okay, I just kicked the camera over a little bit, or kicked the tripod. Okay, look at the reed now. Now we're getting a little bit, I was wondering at the end of this when I was washing off the mud, I'm like, did Glazerand switch to a stainless? No, this is high carbon steel. I love the feel of high carbon steel. It plays amazing, but it doesn't have great rust resistance. I mean, this harp outlasted the plain steel or iron pretty easily, probably because it has a nice level of polish, but eventually the face of it started getting a little bit of rust. Didn't really rust on the back, but yeah, there's some mild pitting, and if I let this harp go anymore, it's going to start pitting the reed, and I do not want my reeds to pit. It does change the sound of them a little bit, so we'll buff that off. I may not be able to get it all off there. And that one spot, that black spot, it's not rust. But the rest of this says, don't let your reeds rust. That's what I was afraid of, but I thought, seriously, it would happen much, much sooner. There we go. We're getting it off there. It is right on the edge. You can see it. This harp's going to play just fine still. But these two, this one, the Glazerand Wave is getting pulled, and the new Siberia is getting pulled. Both awesome harps. I love them, but I cannot safely let that continue, especially this Szilagyi where it's rusting the side of the reed. We don't want that area, and there's still a touch of that left. We don't want that on our jaw harp reeds. And I do not want the face of this rusting. There's still going to be always maybe a little bit of discoloration. I'll probably work on this a little bit after the end of the video. But anyways, we're going to move on to level 3. These two have also been pulled. The 3 remaining contestants are Full Stainless by Sean Jones, the Double Tongue Dan Moy. I should pull this one out and put a different Dan Moy in. They don't make these anymore. This is my favorite Dan Moy. They don't make the double tongues anymore. And then the plastic coated Schwartz. So holler and some ideas on for level 3, but I was thinking if nobody else votes, we're going to be putting these harps through the paces in compost. Now I'm going to have to heavily supervise this because in composting, we are dealing with fungi or funguses and bacteria and other microbes to break things down. And when things break down, pHs change. So I'm impressed with how well the harps did thus far. The Zalagi had a reasonable level of resistance, being buried in mud for 21 hours. That's a big deal after being buried in clover. So we may have a culmination of the two tests coming together. Slight rusting. Oh, there we go. Right. Oh no, that's the D tag. And I should have removed that off there. I was wondering if that tag, no, that tag's like plastic, if that tag would cause rusting, but no. Oh, there's a little bit of tarnish right there too. So yeah, we're going to be going to level 3. It's coming off there easily enough. We're going to level 3. So let me know, what do you want to see for level 3? If not, we're going to be burying these in compost, which is probably about as aggressive as I'll get with the rust resistance. All right, adios. I'm going to end by playing. Ooh, let's play the New Siberia. How's that Glazerin sound? Yeah, no harm to the sound of these harps. Love y'all. Harp out.